I said, for the first time in a generation, they're up 2-0 after, as by now, no doubt you have seen, this frenetic end-of-game sequence on Friday night. The game is tied. Jalen Brunson misses the shot. Victor Wembanyama, the pass that he will remember a long time to Stephon Castle, who wasn't looking. And then Wembanyama, after Brunson had made one of two free throws, had a clean look to win it. In the end, it resulted in the Knicks up 2-0. Here's Wemby on turning the page.
We did a lot of things wrong, but we also were relentless and kept pushing, but kind of like wasted that effort. Even though I know it's not wasted because our lessons are learned, and I know we're not going to make the mistakes of the past again, but in a moment like this, we need to make these things matter.
All right, so we've got all morning long to dive deep into all of this, and we've got reporters who've been covering the series and covering the press conferences. And what can you tell us about the mood of Victor and the Spurs down 2-0 coming here?
For a team down 2-0 coming into the belly of the beast here in New York City, where there's incredible energy, they are not defeated. And I think what Victor said there was what their mindset is. And Greg Popovich met with them before they left to fly to New York on Saturday and said, look, you've got to forget what happened in game two. You've got to focus on the process. And if you look at that end-of-game sequence, Victor does a great job. He defends, great defense. Then he gets in there, gets a great rebound. Let's go. Oh, process great, result bad, and then obviously a terrible foul. And then on this play, they get a very good shot. Process works, Greeny. And what Popovich and the rest of the Spurs are focusing on, don't just focus on the fact that they didn't work out. Focus on what got you there. They like the defense they're playing on Jalen Brunson. They're players who are dealing with some minor injuries. Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox are not on the injury report and ready to go. They still think they're alive and kicking in this series.
Vinny, you've been with the Spurs. You've been talking to them. What have you heard from them and their perspective?
It is amazing to me, Greeny, that they don't seem broken at all. Like they are looking at this as, yes, we blew 2 games at home. Yes, we're behind the 8 ball, but we're in an advantageous situation where we learn our lessons really quick. Once again, I go to Oklahoma City. When you win 2 games in Oklahoma City, including a Game 7 on their home floor, you are not a team that's going to be broken easily. Yes, this is not the advantageous situation that you want to be in. But I think with everything going on tonight, the focus is on the Knicks. It is so celebratory. It is like the Knicks parade is happening tonight and not a basketball game. And that is the greatest atmosphere for a young team to walk into and say, all we got to do is play.
Michael Wilbon joins us here, as promised.
Is that what B-roll is for?
To cover up your dramatic entrance. We worked out. It was like Willis Reed coming out of the phone. Wow.
I'm limping too, usually. So that's...
We're focusing on the Spurs, and then we'll get to the Knicks side of it. You've been there. You've been at the games. You sort of heard all the comments and all that sort of thing. No team is going to say, oh, yeah, we're dead. It's over. They sound like they mean it. What is your sense of where the Spurs are psychologically going into this situation?
They do mean it. I'm more concerned with or more interested in where they are emotionally. They lost their poise. You know, I beat the drum every year about how you're going to get crushed before you win unless your last name is Russell or Johnson. Mm-hmm. You're going to get crushed, all of them. And this is what it is. This is what it feels like to be crushed. You know you're thinking you should have won 2. You know you should have won 1 game, and you didn't. And now you face this, a team that right now is better and more mature. And so how do they deal with that tonight? It's interesting. I have seen, you and I were at a game that reminds me of this, a scene. When Chicago was ready to win at home and beat Charles Barkley and the Suns.
93.
And Charles goes through his famous writing on the whiteboard before the game in the visiting locker room, save the city. Mm-hmm. And you know, Charles, I don't want to see Chicago burn. We got to save Chicago. And they beat the Bulls and had forced them to go back on the road and win in Game 6. And there was a coordination video. There were parade routes were being openly talked about. The whole thing, they were just a prop. That's what the Spurs are tonight. The Spurs are the Washington Generals in this story. So I want to see like how they deal with it. I think they sort of don't have anything to really lose at this point. Not here, not now.
What do you think, Jay?
I think in order to be great at anything, you have to be a little bit certifiably insane, right? You have to. Yesterday was yesterday, today is today. And I think if you're a player in this locker room, you're looking at last game and you're saying, yeah, we should have won. But also when you watch tape, Like, if we just execute minor details down the stretch, we win this game. So if we don't have a take foul early by Castle, which there was no need for a take foul, we could have called a timeout there in that situation. You didn't have to pass the ball. You just compose it. There's 14 seconds left on the clock. It's a lot of time to get the ball down the court. So there's all these things that you start replaying back in your mind, and now you're coming into New York where, yes, everybody has said Knicks in 4, Knicks in 4. I think that's why you saw them a little bit relaxed when they walked into the tunnel. They're laughing. They're like, yeah, because it's house money right now. Everybody expects you to lose. Just come in there and play your ass off and get a win on the road.
It's a fascinating scenario tonight. For those of you across the country, this isn't your problem, and I'm not asking anyone to be concerned about it. But because of the president coming to the game tonight, this is going to be a night unlike any other. People spending most of this morning figuring out when they're going to get there and how they're going to get there and are they going to get there and all that kind of thing. And what that all may add up to is a scene that's a little different than we're expecting. We're expecting this to be the loudest concert you've ever attended in your entire life, and the place to sound like it does when Paul McCartney walks out onto the stage. I have no idea what to expect the actual atmosphere in the building to be at 8:30 when they actually throw the ball in the air.
Maybe that's exactly what we're going to get. It's just, they're closing off avenues in each direction and streets in each direction. You can't drive in. You're going to have to walk in or take the train in. You're walking in tonight.
I have spent a lot of this. I say this because I've spent a lot of this morning figuring out how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to get in.
Enhanced security measures. So, look, maybe everybody gets there early. I know the Knicks fans have been counting down the hours for this. They were ready for this on yesterday afternoon. Forget about tonight. Maybe it'll be fine. But I do think one of the things I want to do is see tonight at tip-off where the vibe is in the arena.
Yeah, I'll tell you one finals game in the Garden one night that it won't top.
Which was?
The OJ chase.
Yes.
That was Madison Square Garden with the Knicks in the finals, too.
Yep.
Knicks Rockets or Knicks?
It was
94.
Knicks Rockets, 94,
so Knicks
game
Rockets.
5. The Knicks won that game to go.
And all of a sudden, the chase goes up on what was then a tel screen, which was like the size of one of our monitors. When you think about the evolution of that over 32 years. And I've been at pretty much every finals game since 1987. There's nothing like that night. You'll agree, right?
Yes.
You have Akeem and Patrick Ewing on the floor, and you're looking at a screen with O.J. Simpson and a Bronco. All that, I don't remember if it was switched on to the NBC broadcast accidentally. Nobody knows how it happened. Somebody knows, we don't. And this was the finals in Madison Square Garden. It ain't gonna top that.
Right. That was a totally different scene. It was unexpected, but it's a good example of how you never know what's going to happen.
Don't know.
So let's take it from the psychology of it all and actually go on the floor. So now you remember the San Antonio Spurs. Is there cleaning everything up is an easy one. I can sit here and say, don't make some of the mistakes you made late in the game, and it's probably 1-1 coming back here. How about actual other adjustments? Is there something you see they need to change, particularly in maybe dealing with Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, not just that. I mean, you're going to give Jalen Brunson a variety of different looks defensively, and you saw them in that 14-point comeback. They started attacking him defensively. And that's something that you do to take down your other players' legs. I will tell you, I think we'll see a lot more of this 4-guard lineup this evening when you think about Castle, Vassell, Fox, and the way they play with Harper.
Right.
I think because all of those guys can be dynamic and attack off the dribble. And sometimes when Champagne's on the floor, it gives you less of a ball handler to attack all those matchups. And it gives you a lot of cross matchups where you can find where Jalen Brunson is on the floor and attack him defensively.
But Jay, what do they give up?
They're going to give up size.
I mean, because they're not big anyway. Other than, obviously, Mr. Big, they're not a big team. Not even big enough.
Make the pace like this, though, Mike.
Can they? Okay.
I mean, is it sustainable? You have to do it in spurts.
Yeah, especially on the road game.
And here's the
not
thing,
at home doing it.
And here's the thing. When you're down 0-2, we tend to catastrophize everything. Jalen Brunson is having his worst shooting series of his playoff career. And if you're saying we're going to throw multiple bodies at you, we're going to wear you out. Like, some of their strategy has one, like Wendy said, process correct, results not. You don't change everything. You make tweaks. And this team has shown a remarkable ability to grow on the fly. I think tonight they're going to respond. I think as long as they respond to that first early surge, I think they're going to be okay.
But we've seen Brunson close out games, first game, third and fourth, and then last game in the fourth with a shot. But if you take away some of those shots, like he hasn't been playing well at all, like you just said. So it's
34% in the series.
I call it fatigue process decision making. If you can keep that going over time, That's what plays into your hands if you're the Spurs and you can capitalize on offense.
Look, they're picking Brunson up 80 feet from the basket.
Yes.
They're making him work just to get the ball up the floor. You saw it work against SGA, who's the MVP of the league in back-to-back years. So their defense is a major factor, I think, in what's going on with Brunson. Let's finish up the San Antonio side of it with their superstar. What about Victor Wembanyama in his first ever go-around in a spot like this one?
I do not think he has brought the requisite energy to start either game. When you go look at what he did in the previous series, he brought it from the Spurs made it their trademark this postseason to get off to great starts. They've been getting off to bad starts. Wembanyama has been getting off to poor starts. He had energy in the second half of game 2, started making shots. You need to see Victor Wembanyama have eliminated energy from the start. And if he runs out of gas at the end of the game, so be it.
You know what, Wendy? I think he's been overwhelmed. I don't think it's just sort of fatigue or oh, wow, I'm not into this.
Yeah.
He's being overwhelmed by an opponent. He's not used to that. This is the first time, essentially, in multiple games that has happened. That is part of the equation of they can't tweak. Can you, Jay, you can answer this. Do you tweak poise and calm? Do you do that, or does that have to come organically over time? Because that's what I think it is.
They're going at him.
Has to come from here. Has to come from here, Mike.
They're going at him.
Wemby, because they are going at him.
The Knicks are going at Wembanyama.
They're going at him like other teams avoid him. Like the Thunder went away from Chet Holmgren. The Thunder went away from Isaiah Hartenstein. They are going at him, and he has to respond to that.
Intestinal fortitude, Mike.
And that's because Karl Anthony Towns has, to this point, I think, been the best player.